Good morning guys, this is Timo Buske and welcome to 12 brand new episodes of BLIT photo tutorials. Today I want to say hello to Amilkar Duarte. He sent in his raw file to get it BLITified. Let's go for it.
BLIT photo tutorials.
Okay, I opened up the raw file here in Capture One, and if we zoom in we can see a little issue here. We can see that the ear is sharp but the eyes are not. And yeah, we can see that the sharpness plane is a little off, and we are going to fix this as best as we can later. So first of all, let's crop a little. So for my taste the background is a little distracting here and I want to pop the face to pop out, so let's crop this away a bit. I'm grabbing the crop tool and let's try with a square format in this case. This looks good, and yeah, I want the face to pop out even more, so for this I'm going to fade out the background to black. The easiest way to do this is with a vignetting tool. And but first of all, let's do the standard workflow, desaturating everything. So now let's add the vignette. We can go for maximum here. This is now getting a little too dark, so let's brighten it up with the brightness tool. You can see in the histogram that this is now more or less okay, and we can do the rest with the levels tool because we have a lot of headroom here we don't want to waste. So I'm going to bring back the highlights here. And now we see that the highlights are more or less saturated. So let's recover them with the HDR tool, and I would like to make the lighting a little more smooth by decreasing the contrast, maybe about 15 or so. We also can open up the shadows a bit, but remember, don't go too crazy on this because it gets artificial if you overdo it. So in maximum 20 maybe. Yeah, I think this is okay for a good start point now, and let's care about the sharpness. As we said earlier, we have an issue here. So the first step is to care about the sharpness for the areas which are correct, like the ear. So we are not zoom into the eyes and the face now. We adjust the sharpness for the ear here. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to bring up the structure. It seems we can go for maximum here. And now I do the standard workflow for sharpening. Radius to minimum, amount to maximum, and slowly increase the radius until the radius is okay. Don't worry about the halo and the extreme contrast here. It's just about the radius. And now I'm going to reduce the amount. This looks okay for the hair, but let's see the head. It's almost black and white here in those areas, so I think we need to reduce a little more. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so now we have adjusted the sharpness for the already sharp areas, and we are going to care about the face later. Let's zoom in here and see what the noise says. Okay, I think we need to add a little noise reduction here. I add some noise reduction for the luminance. Has to be pretty high as it seems. I think there's not much difference when I go from 90 to 100, but there is already noise coming in when I go below 90, so I'm going for 90 here. Okay, I would like the face to pop out even more, so I'm going to do this with a local adjustment layer, creating a new one. I'm grabbing a brush which is really big, and I set opacity and flow to 100 both, because I want to create a mask with a single click. I'm grabbing a brush which is about the size of the face, maybe a little bigger, and I do a single click in the middle, like this. So what I want to do now is I want to bring down the exposure for everything which is not selected by this mask. So I'm selecting the layer with right click and invert the mask. So now I can edit all those red areas here. Okay. So let's bring down the exposure to around -2 or so. Okay, this is a nice alternative to the vignetting tool, because with this technique you can directly set which areas you want to brighten up very smoothly. Okay, let's brighten up the eyes. I'm creating another adjustment layer. Maybe let's give it a name. Face, focus, face, pop out, whatever. And this is eyes. I'm switching back to normal for my brush. Opacity 50, flow 50, and a little smaller brush here, around the size of the eye. And I want to increase the brightness to around, I don't know, maybe half of it. So let's brighten this up here a bit. I think the right eye needs a little more clicks, because it is darker, because it's a little in the shadow here. This is okay. Yep. Okay, now I want to add a little a shadow here on the cheek, because it's I think the face looks a little flat, and I think it would be good if we add a shadow here. So we create another adjustment layer. I call this shade. The brush can be a little bigger here. And I'm drawing a line over the cheek here. Yeah, that's good. So let's just lower the brightness for this area here. This is much better. See before and after? Okay, next thing, I want all those nice details here to pop out even more, like the clothes, the hair, maybe the head a bit. So I'm going to create another adjustment layer, and I'm using the levels tools for it, because I can do pretty dramatic changes here. If I lower the higher value here, this will brighten up the areas I'm selecting pretty dramatically, and increase the contrast as well. So I'm grabbing a brush tool and slightly go over the areas with those interesting details here. The hair, the clothes here, maybe a little more, because those are really interesting structures. And let's brighten up the head. That was a little too much, maybe on the right side. less on this area here. I think that's okay. Okay, give it a name. Brighten details. Okay, I think we don't need a lot of retouching here in this picture. If you want, you can do. For example, let's care about the neck a bit. I'm creating a clone layer because this is a little faster than a healing layer, and we can switch back to the other mode later. Grabbing a small brush, zoom in a bit. And go over those lines here. And I'm selecting from above. Doesn't have to be too accurate because we can let the healing tool do the rest. I think this is okay for now. You can go more into detail here if you want to remove this hair or so, but for this tutorial it should be sufficient. But if you want, you can do even more, just removing some of those spots here, grabbing the spot tool and just click over it. I mean, you need to decide. Actually, it's the character of the model, and if you want to remove it, if you want to have it really clean, you can remove all this. But this is not necessary, maybe. Okay, that should be sufficient for now. Next thing is the issue we talked about before. We have sharpness here on the ear, but the eyes are not really 100% sharp. Okay, we created a mask for everything but the face. And we can reuse this mask to now adjust the face. For this we are creating a new adjustment layer. I call this face sharp. And I'm going to copy the mask from the face pop-out layer. Remember, it was this. And now we want to use the inversion of the mask. So let's click copy, let's click invert mask. And now we can add a little sharpness just to the face. So, standard workflow, radius to minimum, amount to maximum, and slowly increase the radius until we get the right sharpness radius. We won't get the perfect results here because when the sharpness is not correct, there already is information missing. So, but let's do the best we can do here. Maybe around 1.5. Yeah, it's pretty blurry here, so we need to go for maximum. But look at this, before after, this is much better. Okay, this image already works pretty well in black and white, but just for curiosity, let's create another variant in color. So I'm going to clone this. And I'm going to increase the saturation for this image, but let's make sure to work on the right layer. We need to choose background, otherwise it will just affect the masked areas. Okay, I'm increasing the saturation. 0 is maybe a bit too saturated, so I'm going to -20. And yeah, the lighting saturation is a little strange. I think it's some kind of indoor market here. So I want to cool down the color temperature. Not too much, maybe around 4.2, 4.3K. And we also could remove a little of the magenta here. And what we could do is to uniform the skin colors. For this I'm grabbing the color editor and pick one of the skin tones here, and I'm choosing, with this little dot here in the editor, I'm choosing my desired skin color, and I'm selecting all colors around it, about 180 degrees. So now I can uniform the skin color with the hue uniformity tool, not too much, maybe around 50%. And furthermore, we could edit the blue tone here. This is similar, actually similar to the orange teal tutorial from before. We are selecting a color with one of those lines, and we are selecting the colors we want around it and push them towards this color. So for the for example, this area, we push all the greens and cyans to this blue tone here. This direction, right? Yeah, this direction. And we are selecting this area and go for the other direction. And what we can do now is we grab this line, and by rotating this, we can modify the color of the blues here. So I'm going for, I don't know, maybe this one. That looks good. Okay, let's compare before or after. Before, after, really popping out, really bright image now. And yeah, personally I like the black and white variant a little more, but yeah, it's up to you what you would like to achieve here. And I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching, and thanks again for sending in a raw file. Bye bye.
BLIT Photo Tutorials.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Please support me by subscribing for more videos, spread this out to all your friends, like and comment. And of course, if you want to watch me BLITifying one of your RAW files, please upload it somewhere and send me a link to blit@timobuske.de. I will put everything you need to know into the description. Stay tuned and keep watching.